like a circle in a spiral, like a wheel within a wheel, never ending or beginning, like the circles that you find in the windmills of your mind.
Visit StogieGeeks.com/Debonaire for a list of retailers who carry Debonaire cigars. Buy some today and get a little more Debonaire. Welcome back, everyone, to the Stogie Geeks Show, where my illustrious co-host, oh wait, never mind. So this Debonaire ideal is how not to be an ash. And it's really just 5 like random topics that I came up with. John Reiner, the cigar surgeon, is here with us to talk about how not to be an ash. And I don't know. Someone was talking about how their brother-in-laws go hunting all the time. They've got like 100 acres here in Rhode Island, which is pretty significant. That's like most of the state, 100 acres.
Yeah, that's a lot.
In Rhode Island. And how they go hunting and how, one of the guys gets mad when the other guy, starts to smoke. And I thought, well, I'm definitely not invited because if I'm sitting in the woods just waiting for something, I'm going to have to smoke.
Smoking.
I'm going to have to have a cigar. And
Yeah.
that's not going to work because for those that don't know, deer have a really good sense of smell. So much so that forget about smoke, like your normal body odors, whatever they are, you do what you can do to mask them. I don't know if you're into hunting, John,
Yep.
but I don't think I've ever been deer hunting. I've hunted other kinds of game, but not deer. But when the deer hunters tell me like they have to mask their own smell, and they have all these different mechanisms to do that. So
Yeah, their nose is much better than our eyesight. So if you're upwind from what you're hunting, yeah, let alone like you said, your body odor, a cigar is absolutely going to give you away, and not only for a couple hundred feet. I mean, we're talking miles of distance.
right. I mean, if you had a cigar and then like changed your clothes and went hunting, they still might smell. I mean, that's how sensitive their noses are.
I think my girlfriend feels the same way. She can smell me from about 500 feet away. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So that got me thinking about this segment, like when's a good time to have a cigar, when, some etiquette, basically discussion about cigars. So the first one was, don't smoke while you're hunting, as John and I were just talking about, but do smoke while you fish, because the fish really don't care what you smell like.
And you're presumably on a lake. It's a lot of open area.
Absolutely.
That smoke's going to be carried away. And fishing is kind of a pretty stationary activity. I've been fishing many times. You talk about hunting being stationary. No disrespect to all the fishers out there, but typically there's a lot of time between catching fish. So you probably have a good chance to enjoy a good cigar during those.
Well, yeah, I mean, they call it fishing, not catching, for a reason, right?
That's right.
I mean, and there's lots of different types of fish that you go after and different types of fishing. I mean, there's like sometimes where I found myself, we were fishing for striper, and, you do a lot of setup and you get all your lines out of the boat and then you start trolling. And if someone else is driving the boat, like, dude, you're just sitting there. Like, that's a perfect time to have a cigar. Now,
Yep.
I tend not to smoke anything really good because when the striper specifically hits a line and it makes that zzz, like, and they're taking it and they're running with it, like, it's really exciting. And I've, like, my cigar's gone off the side of the boat and drop the cigar in, like, the wet bottom of the boat. Like, it's done after that. So keep that in mind when you're fishing. Bass fishing is one of the things that that's mostly what I do, largemouth bass. And, you're casting a lot and just kind of sitting there kind of thing. So.
Yeah, especially if you're like, talking about lake fishing. If you're river fishing, that's a great opportunity to have a cigar, because you can kind of determine how far you're going into the river, and then presumably you're probably by yourself, like way by yourself, because you're usually out in the middle of nowhere. So great opportunity.
So my next one is, don't smoke in mixed company at the family barbecue, but do take a few friends and family to an isolated spot and share a stogie.
Absolutely.
Now, at my own house, though, they tend to know me as a cigar smoker. I mean, they pretty much know if they're out on my deck, like, I'm going to be having a cigar. And I try and I am nice about it. I do try and position myself so the smoke isn't, like, blowing on everyone. And I often find myself, like, I light up a cigar and I sit and then I just kind of, like, wait. And I gauge people's reactions. And if they're, like, hit with, like, big plumes of smoke, I move my seat to where the the wind is blowing, so it's not bugging anyone. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not a health thing. It's just more of like, if you're not smoking, it's kind of a nuisance.
I mean, talk about being debonair. That's a debonair thing to do. It's not necessarily about your enjoyment of the cigar, but you do have to keep your audience in mind. And, oftentimes, and I'm sure you find the same thing, you're known as the cigar guy
Right.
amongst your friends. So you get invited to a thing, someone says, bring some cigars. The first question I ask is, how many people there are cigar smokers? How many people are not cigar smokers?
Mm-hmm.
And where are we going to be smoking? Because you do need to take your audience into account. The last thing you want to do is make all of their non-smoking friends think you're the cigar jerk, not the cigar guy.
Right. You don't want to be the cigar jerk. Yeah. So
No.
what I've done in the past is actually everyone's like, oh, I'm like, I really want a cigar. And the guy's like, oh, do you like cigars? I'm like, yeah. Like I did do a show and stuff. I'm like, I
I've
got
been known to enjoy one or two.
yeah, like I got like a whole box of them like in my bag because that's just how I roll. And they're like, yeah, let's go smoke. So go to like an isolated spot in the yard and enjoy some cigars with some people. It's a nice thing to do. So you make friends that way too. This next one is particularly for your man cave. I don't know. When you go to a lounge, they tend to do some of this maintenance for you. This is more like when people come to your place where you have cigars. Don't fill your ashtrays with cigars in your man cave and then leave them for your guests. But do encourage your guests to help fill them up, right? I mean, that's the purpose they're there is to smoke cigars, and stuff's going to end up in the ashtray. So, I tend, when you've got an ashtray that's like on my desk right now in the other room, that's just filled with cigars. Now, I'm the only one that smokes at my desk, so I can kind of let it go a little bit. But I mean, do empty those things because they tend to smell really bad, actually.
Yeah, and it's funny being a cigar smoker and obviously a guy who reviews cigars and smokes cigars on a regular basis. I'm extremely sensitive to the smell of ashes and previously smoked cigars in an ashtray.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can really smell an ashtray from a significant distance away. And I think sometimes we get a little desensitized to that. You don't really, in your mind, realize how much of even a half full ashtray can really stink up a room. And especially if it's a smoking room, like you've got a cool, you're one of the nice people who's not sitting on their deck and you've actually got a smoking space, that ashtray can absolutely fill that smoking space with not good smells.
Have you tried the product called Whiff Out?
Oh, it's magical. We ran into
It does help this
It
particular
does.
problem. It is
Absolutely.
actually fills the room with a pleasant smell rather than your ashtray smell. We tested it out here in the studios. It worked pretty good. I find that we're just more diligent about emptying the ashtrays when we don't have some Whiff Out on hand.
Yeah, even if you have a dump bin, because a lot of people will incorporate a dump bin because they're like me, you don't want to be running out to the garbage can every time you fill an ashtray because frankly that's every couple of days.
Yeah.
But you got a dump bin. Without works really well in a dump bin. You don't open the bin and then just get absolutely overwhelmed with that stale ash. Oh,
right.
Yeah.
Let's see. The next one here is don't stink up your friends, your wives, your moms, or your rental car with cigar stench, but do enjoy stogies on the road in your own car. And we've talked about smoking in the car a lot. I smoke in my truck, and where I feel bad is if someone wants to borrow my truck, which I'm usually more than fine to let people borrow my truck, but I kind of give them a warning if it's last minute, and I haven't had a chance to clean it out, vacuum it out a little bit, and air it out first. I'm like, dude, it hasn't been aired out. It's going to smell in there, really bad. And you don't realize it because you get in your own car every day, right, if you commute to work. When someone else gets in that car, my wife gets in the truck, and she's like, oh, roll the windows down. It's bad. 'Cause I have cloth seats in there, too, which is you probably shouldn't do. But, it's the one vehicle designated for smoking in the fleet, so...
Yeah, I definitely feel that one because I don't smoke in my car. I do not have leather seats. I mean, it's really important if you want to smoke in your vehicle full time. You got to have leather seats. It makes such a difference. And my girlfriend has she's a bit of a super smeller. So if I were to smoke a cigar in the car, and even if I was to air it out and use some deozonator and Whiff Out products, I mean, she could smell it before I even open the door. So yeah, you got to be sensitive to who's going to be in your vehicle. I mean, if your mom's going to be in there or family members and they're not, they don't like that cigar smell, got to keep that in mind for sure.
Yeah, we tend not to take the truck because which is nice because it makes it my vehicle. No one else wants to get in it because it reeks like cigar. And the cloth seat, there's just no getting that. I knew going into it was not coming out. I mean, even if you
not at all.
shampoo the seats and use the Whiff Out and all that stuff, there's still going to be an odor of cigars in there no matter what with cloth seats. With leather seats, you stand a chance maybe.
Yeah.
Especially if you got one with a sunroof, Will was also recommending a convertible is a great car to have to smoke in because it tends not to hold all of that stench in, so you can kind of get away with it. Let's see the last one here. Don't leave a huge pile of ashes on the floor, chair, rug, or yourself, but do let the ash hang until it's ready. And this is kind of a tricky one. Depends on the situation. When you're in a lounge, usually, the people out, like even next door, still to this day, and it's been years since I've been going next door into the cigar lounge. There's like 3,000 square feet of cigar lounge next door. And I'll go in there and I'll have a cigar, and I'll just be talking to, one of the girls or the manager or the owner, and I'll drop an ash on the floor, and I'm like, oh, crap, I'm sorry. Yeah. And they're like, you're still worried about that? They're like, it's fine. Like, we just have a routine where they go around and just sweep up the floor because there's people smoking there all the time. But if you're in a different situation, and you're at your buddy's cigar man cave or whatever, or in your buddy's car, like you got to be mindful of that kind of stuff.
I was just at a cigar event this weekend, and I have to give props to all the people that attended. The first question they asked is, we need some more ashtrays because, even though we were outdoors,
right.
They were still worried about ashing the ground. The first question was, where can I ash? And, you do have to be debonair. You have to, you can ash on the ground, but somebody's got to clean that up.
Right.
And I'm with you, Paul. Even if I'm in a smoking area, my first thought is, where's the nearest ashtray? Obviously I don't want to ash on myself either, but which inevitably happens. But it happens. Where's the nearest ashtray? So should I need to break conversation and drop that ash off, where can I do that? You got to keep that in mind.
No, that's a good point. You should have an ashtray nearby wherever you are. And, even like you said, outside, it's important because you just don't want, when you're done with your cigar, you just don't want to throw it on the ground.
No.
Like for some little kid to pick up or something like that. So, yeah, that's important. So I think that was good.
It's a good list.
We covered a lot of bases there on basically how not to be an ash. So
don't be an ash.
That is our Debonaire ideal for this evening. Stay tuned. Stogies of the Week coming up next.